indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone, remember to turn your microphones on, turn your cell phones off, and we'll have roll call.
Mayor Schoenberger.
Here.
Councilor Anderson.
Here.
Councilor Bain.
Here.
Councilor Becker.
Here.
Councilor Baker.
Here.
Councilor Dykes.
Here.
Councilor Quinlan.
Here.
Everybody has a copy of the minutes of the regular meeting of January 9th. Are there any corrections?
Yeah, under the management section of the minutes, under the maintenance agreement with the ditch company, it shows the motion that was passed was for the development agreement, which is just, I think, a typo because the motion before that was,
Okay.
so it just needs to be
Add
changed to
maintenance.
maintenance agreement.
Thank you.
Good catch there. Counts on it, doesn't he?
Any other corrections?
Proves he reads them.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
We did this week.
All right. So the minutes will stand approved as corrected. Visitors and delegations. Is there anybody that, do we have a police dog or anybody that wants to do this now? Is this when you wanted to do it, or?
Buck's coming in.
You want him now?
Yeah,
Sure, yeah.
If you'd like, Mayor, we can continue on with the next item and just plug
Okay.
him in when they
All
get
right.
here.
5A, resolution number 2017-2, findings of fact, conclusions, and order granted application of the Upper Platte and Beaver Canal Company for special use permit to operate an augmentation pond.
Okay, this is a resolution that the city council last meeting discussed and approved, and there was an addition that we needed to make, and that was to allow for a future crossing on the ditch near the Mill Street area on the north side of the pond, south side of the pond. And so that's been included, and then all the conditions that were discussed that night were included into the resolution. So now you have a completed resolution, and for the viewers, this is the resolution that allows for the augmentation pond to be used there at the location there on Hospital Road. And also the ditch company must provide a walk and jogging path around that. And also there's a landscaping plan that has been discussed and reviewed. And lastly, in 2 years, when after it's been established, we're gonna review it and see how the actual trail, the landscaping, all those things kind of come together and be a last time review. So we're here for a final approval on resolution number 2017-2.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2017-2 with the 13 conditions set forth in the resolution.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Mayor Schoenberger.
Yes.
Councilor Anderson.
Yes.
Councilor Bain.
Yes.
Councilor Baker.
Yes.
Councilor Becker.
Yes.
Councilor Dykes.
Yes.
Councilor Quinlan.
Yes.
Okay, we're ready to see a new addition.
This is Bucks.
Do you want to talk into your mic so they hear? Thanks.
This is Mux. He's 3 years old, German Shepherd. Officer Sagner's our handler. He just got back from Kansas from 2 or 3 weeks of training. I'll let him kind of introduce what his capabilities are. But first day on the job, he's already been successful in finding some drugs this morning. So I'll let Officer Sagner talk about it.
Hi, Officer Sagner, selected as a K-9 handler here with K-9 Mux. Like Chief Anderson said, he's a little over 3 years old. Come over. Sits. We just completed a 2-week training course, a handler course mainly for me, to learn how to operate this dog. He is trained to detect the 4 major narcotics, being meth, cocaine, marijuana, and heroin. So he showed high level of proficiency. His obedience training. He is also a handler protector. So he is an apprehension dog as well. But his size alone takes care of that for the most part. So he's got kind of a high drive here. He's looking for something to work.
How often do you have to take them back for training and things like that? Or is it ongoing training that you provide, or does the contractors provide that
So actually,
training?
it's a little bit of both. There's a yearly recertification for the canine handlers to show that we are still proficient with the dog, and the dog's still proficient with finding those narcotics. There's a daily training that we do, so it's 7 days a week. It's like having another child. He does at least 2 dope blinds a day, what we call either single blind or double blind. Double blind is I have a helper who hides some drugs where I don't know where it is. It helps me to better watch his body movements and perfect on seeing when he alerts to something. He also, with that 2-week course that I went through over in Longford, Kansas, I do have to go back again in a couple months to see what problems may be between me and the dog and how to fix it.
Okay. It's a nice looking dog.
Yeah, seems like a great dog.
He wants to work.
He's eager. He's a neat dog.
He's got a high drive for his reward. He's not like a normal dog. There's no family interaction. There's no family interaction. He doesn't eat human food. He's on strict diet, strict regimen of work and rest. Keeps him sharp. It's a better investment for us as a police department and definitely the city as well. He wants his ball.
Yeah, he's watching you. Yeah,
He wants his reward.
he is a neat dog.
He is.
Thank you for bringing him.
I resigned myself to never having a clean uniform. Any other questions that might possibly support?
I was gonna
Appreciate your
ask,
effort.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna ask the chief to talk about the donations from the community. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yes, the donations, the community saw the need for the canine, and we received, I believe it was $9,700 in donations. And the vet has also volunteered to provide her services for the animal, making all the checks and anything that he would need. We would just need to provide for, the medications. But yeah, so we're still looking for donations if anybody wants to donate. But great community support for this program.
Thanks again. Any other questions or?
You know we're just gonna wanna pet him. Is that okay?
But-
Not, probably not.
I bet not.
At this point, we're still figuring each other out.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a process where I just met the dog 2 weeks ago. Being as he's 3 years old, he's the experienced one. I'm the inexperienced one. Still learning his body movements. So as of right now, the way I instruct the other officers in the department and people who may come in contact, I've talked to Joanne and more or less you ignore them. When you're
Sure, I see
walking down
that's
the
gonna
hallway
work.
or you see him, you kind of ignore him. He'll probably sniff around, but right now, actual interaction, safety's always gonna come first. He is a dog. He has the sole purpose and
Yeah, he's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go bring him in the China store.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's cute.
You ready?
Too bad he says
That's a lot of dog. That's a lot of dog.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was cool. Yes. Moving on to number 5B, Ebenezer Lutheran Care Center permit fee waiver request.
Mayor, as a employee of Ebenezer, I will recuse myself from this discussion.
All right.
And I also have a conflict because I'm on the foundation board.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. You have in front of you this evening a request from Ebenezer Lutheran Care Center. They are getting ready to build a new assisted living and memory care facility over there on their campus. And there's a little bit of sticker shock involved when you build a building that is valued at over $8 million. The permit fees associated with that type of a project are fairly substantial. And the building permit itself is $32,343.91, and the additional plan review fee is $21,023.54. We do have a policy in place here at the City of Rush that addresses how building permit fee waivers are to be reviewed. And there are criteria in place in terms of which entities are eligible and which are not. Because Ebenezer is a nonprofit, that does make them eligible for a potential waiver. When you look at the nuances of the city's policy, any third-party fees that we pay, specifically that for the plan review service, that's something that the city council cannot waive, since that's a direct cost to the city. And we want to make sure that our costs are covered and we're not in expending additional city funds for a private entity or even a public or nonprofit entity. And so with that, the amount of the permit fee that's eligible for potential waiver is at $32,343.91. In your packet this evening, there was a copy of the city's adopted policy, Ebenezer's request letter, and then there's also a log that I've been keeping since 2009 of past waiver requests and then the amount of the fee that was waived. A lot of the times, the amount is only reduced by 50%. There are some other fees where it was waived at 100%, but those were typically for smaller dollar figures. So the last substantial project, or last two substantial projects we had, those were only a 50% fee waiver that was done. So with that, you have the request in front of you this evening, and staff is seeking direction from council as to what percent, if any, you would like to waive off of that building permit fee for Ebenezer.
Comments?
From the city administrator, these fees do add to our general fund. That's where they go. And that is one of the discussions that we had during our budget process, that it's getting leaner and leaner. So, I'd be recommending like the 50% or something along those lines that we've done recently. And that was the intent back in 2008 when we put the policy in place. The council requested a policy. I think the mayor, you might have been there at that time.
He was there.
And it's just provide a little more consistency, so it's every situation, council's not coming in and doing 25, 50, 75. And so we've been trying to hold mostly to that 50% mark.
And in my thought, also at that time, the reason for the fee waiver was because a lot of these are entities that get their funding from the public. So they get their funding through tax collections from the public, and so they would have to raise their tax collections to pay the fee to pay us, which is another tax collection entity from the public. So, several of those are. This is more just a nonprofit, so it's in that sort of, it doesn't actually collect fees, but it's in that middle range of things. So.
Yeah, I think to be consistent with what we've done in the past, I think a 50% reduction would be appropriate.
I agree with 50% for the larger projects.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we reduce that we waive 50% of the permit fee.
Second?
A second.
Any further discussion?
But we don't have to, right? I mean,
No, we do
No.
not have to.
we could say no to any of it.
We can say no.
And we're in a lean year. We're
Any other thoughts? Are we ready to vote? Okay, we'll call vote.
Mayor Schomburger,
Yes.
Councilor Anderson,
no.
Councilor Bain,
Yes.
Councilor Baker,
Yes.
Councilor Becker,
Yes.
Councilor Dykes.
Yes.
Moving on to finance.
I'd like to make a motion to approve disbursements and payroll from January 9th through the 23rd of 2017 totaling $959,017.79.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion?
From Finance Committee, when we reviewed the bills tonight, 700,000 of that, 959,000 was for CD purchased by Joanne.
Mhm. Yep. All right. Roll call vote?
Mayor Schomburger?
Yes.
Counselor Anderson?
Yes.
Counselor Bain?
Yes.
Counselor Baker?
Yes.
Counselor Becker?
Yes.
Counselor Dykes?
Yes.
Counselor Quinlan?
Yes.
Staff reports. Joanne.
I have nothing this evening.
All right. Police Department. Travis.
In front of you, you'll see a annual report, and just briefly, what this report is basically what the accomplishments and total calls for service for 2016 were. In addition, it shows a community survey, which 40 to 50 people responded to the community survey that we had out online, and basically that is to see what the community expects of its police department to maintain quality of life for the future. And in the packet, you'll see a high percentage was drug use and drug sales. So this year we're going to be focusing on drug use and drug sales, notably with the canine that we just purchased.
Moving down to, Karen. Community Development.
There's just one thing I wanted to highlight this evening. Often been getting questions about the status of the Love's Truck Stop and where is that in Brush and how's it going. And it continues to percolate along behind the scenes. You know, all of the land use approvals have been put into place. We finished that up this past spring. And they've been on a pretty busy construction schedule for themselves across the country. And so they delayed the start of our particular project, and they continue to move forward and are looking at, as far as I know, putting their project out to bid for their own construction here in March. So hopefully a month or two after that, we'll actually see some dirt moving out there. But as far as I can tell, things continue to move well along behind the scenes.
All right. Thank you. City Clerk.
I just draw your attention to some meetings. On tomorrow night, Tuesday, January 24th, is the Chamber 2017 Annual Banquet. On Tuesday, January 31st, is the City and County meeting hosted by Brush at the course. And Tyler reported that March 6th was the date for the joint meeting for all the entities to establish goals at 6 p.m. at the course.
If anybody has a question as to whether they signed up for things, Andrea has the list right there. And City Administrator.
Okay, a few items I have this evening. The first one is good news about the Department of Local Affairs, the Energy Impact Grant. The city did submit that last week, and thank you to Andrea, City Clerk, and Joanne, the volunteers from the fire department. They all pulled together efforts and did little pieces of it to get a really good competitive, what I feel is a very competitive grant application for this. It's about approximately a $1.2 million project with a little bit of contingency funds in there as well, but we're hoping to get 50% of that paid for through a DOLA grant. So good partnership with the City of Brush and the Rural Fire District, and let's just cross our fingers. And I believe it's a 2 or 3 month turnaround before they review everything, and then they let us know when we're going to have the hearings for that. And they rotate the hearings around the state to different places, and so I'll keep you apprised once we get to that point and we go represent the City of Brush at that hearing. Also, just a quick administrative note that the mayor and I did get, were reached out to by the Colorado Division of Parks and Wildlife, and there are some interest of theirs in locating temporarily some of their trailers and some office space out of the feedlot. We have another meeting set up, but as soon as we pull together more information, we'll be back to visit with the city council about those. Another note is I have talked to Dale Colrick, our Public Works Director, and we're considering, and we'll bring it to council before we put it in place, a volunteer curbside recycling program. And the concept is kind of simple, where if a person's okay with coming in buying a special colored dumpster or trash container or polycart, they'll either be purple or green or red, some different color, different than our dark green ones. And then we'll, on Wednesdays, the day that we have off of picking up the trash around the community, we'll have a list of those who have bought them. Then they'll just go around and stop that one day and pick up the recyclables. And so hopefully we get 10 or 20 to start, and then we see how that goes for a year or two. And then that's when we come back to council. Do we want to do this citywide and make it more, you have to do this, or is it going to stay voluntary? But we thought it's a good start. And talking to Dell, the state, the recycling program at the state, at the state level, they've been doing master planning, and they have a 20-year plan, and there may be some language in there where the state's going to be requiring this in the future anyways, so we just may be starting with a voluntary program. So we'll see how that progresses, but we will come back to city council on that. Also on Hospital Road, near Pioneer Park, I guess a subcontractor or consultant of Verizon Cellular, they have expressed interest in putting a Verizon tower in that park, right there by the skate park, and it would have a light on it and providing free light for the skate park. And so once we get a little more information on that, we'll bring that to council and get your approval and thoughts on it first. I mean, it is a tall tower. It's comparable to the ball field lights, but it'll probably be a little bit wider, and of course it will have the cell phone mast on top of it. So something to think about, but we'll bring a little more information to you here in the near future. Also, in talking to Dale Colrick, we do have quite a few little ice buildups around town, and the crews are out actively working on those. They typically have to wait till the day warms up enough so the ice starts melting a little bit so that they don't tear up the asphalt. But they have been getting around the community, different places, and I know that we've been taking work orders recently on quite a number of those, and as those come in, we just try and address them as soon as we can. And the best thing to do is, if you have one of those situations where you don't think it's going to resolve itself anytime soon, just call into City Hall, give an address, location of it, and we'll get to it as quick as we can.
On that, Monty, I had a couple calls this week from homeowners saying that the city hadn't done that before, and they really appreciated them. I guess they came out and took care of big ice things on the curb or something. So
yeah, I did have some council members contact me because they had been contacted, and it was when there are some streets that just the way the snow event occurred, or
yeah,
2 or 3 of them, however many they were in a row, and then with the sub 20-degree weather, it created a unique situation, so we had a lot more of that. And so normally when it warms up enough, we go out there and it's really easy just to shovel it out to clear the inlets for the stormwater so it drains away. And so our crews start with that, and so they were doing that, and then, but it's kind of hard when it's frozen solid. So
yeah, and I told them it wasn't something that was going to be consistently applied. It was because of the type of storm we had. So.
Is that all?
that's it.
Right, thank you. Council reports. Anything? All right. What I've been pondering, one of my thoughts is, we've had on social media some comments from councilors about city employees, and I'm wondering if that puts a bad light on the council as a whole, if that's something that we should develop a policy or get into. So let me know your thoughts on that, and we can delve into that at a future date if you wish. But there's been several comments about those kind of postings. So let me know. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Well,
Oh, okay.
I had spoken with a business that originated on social media. This is how I knew about it, about a business that's going out of business. It's in my ward. And I shared with my 2 Facebook friends, which were Rick and Heath.
But I'm just getting about comments about employees. So
Right,
we'll discuss that.
I'm moving on
later.
from that, but I just wanted to say about social media and about this particular business, we were accused of the elected officials of wrongdoing, and did anybody know about, I answered that I didn't have any idea about anything that went on prior to this posting. Did anybody else know?
No, and we shouldn't, and we
Okay.
wouldn't, no,
Well-
because it's two separate entities.
Exactly.
It's-
Well-
It's not a city function, it's a state function. The state did,
Right.
as I've been told, when you get a liquor license, it's a dual license. The city, as the local liquor licensing authority, issues a license, and the state has a license. And either entity, independent of the other, can do actions.
And I
So they
understand-
were independent of us. We
I
didn't
understand
know,
the process, Chuck.
And we don't have any control over that, so we have no say-so in changing or affecting that process.
And I understand the process. I think the business owner didn't understand and pointed a finger at the elected officials, and I took some exception to that because, I said I had no idea. And, as far as I know, none of the other council members had.
No,
Any idea
and I think
about
we
it?
have to be a little bit careful because, Janine, because we are the local licensing for liquor, it's a judicial role that we play, not a legislative role. So I think had to be very careful about responding to any comments on social media about that, because if it comes to a hearing later or something like that, that would be considered ex parte conversation possibly, though.
Well, we don't have anything in front of us now, okay, so there would be no ex parte
Okay.
problems here, but you're right, it's a judicial process when the council is considering a license application.
Right, and I just don't think, social media isn't the place to talk about it.
Exactly.
Here would be the place to talk about it. So I think we have to be careful about that.
And I would like to chime in too. I think we do need to address that. I think as counselors, social media is not the place to be chastising or being critical of city employees. I mean, that's something that we can take up with Monty. If we have an issue with an employee, then it should be taken up with Monty in private and addressed through that avenue, not on social media. That's unacceptable.
Okay.
And it's gonna be a moot point, any more judicial, our part as a judicial, he's out of business, he's leaving, and so, but I addressed, at least for me, if he pointed the finger at me, I said, I had no prior knowledge of this whatsoever.
Right.
Is there
I
a
don't
motion
think any
to,
of us did.
is there a motion to adjourn?
Please, yes.
Yes, and a second? Motion and a second, we're adjourned. You're late. You were like 5 minutes